The tale of Oliver the Owl and his forest friends. In the heart of a vast, ancient forest lived a wise old owl named Oliver. Oliver had lived in the forest for many years, and during that time, he had become friends with all the animals who called the forest their home. He was known for his deep knowledge of the woods and his kind, helpful nature. Whenever any animal had a problem, they would come to Oliver for advice. One crisp autumn day, as the leaves were turning shades of red and gold, Oliver was perched high in his favorite oak tree, watching the forest below. He loved this time of year, when the air was cool, and the forest was alive with activity. As he surveyed his surroundings, he noticed something unusual. Several of his friends were acting strangely. Down by the riverbank, Bella the beaver was frantically gathering twigs and branches, stacking them higher and higher. In a nearby clearing, Felix the fox was pacing back and forth, looking worried. And over in the meadow, Daisy the deer was nervously nibbling on grass, her eyes darting around anxiously. Oliver decided to fly down and see what was troubling his friends. He first visited Bella, who was so busy with her work that she didn't notice Oliver land beside her. "Good morning, Bella," Oliver hooted softly. "Why are you gathering so many branches? Are you planning to build a new lodge?" Bella looked up, startled. "Oh, Oliver. I didn't see you there." "No, I'm not building a new lodge. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I just feel like I need to be prepared for something, but I don't know what it is." Oliver nodded thoughtfully. "I see. Let me go talk to Felix and Daisy to see if they feel the same way." Oliver then flew to the clearing where Felix the fox was still pacing nervously. "Hello, Felix," Oliver called out. "You seem troubled. Is something bothering you?" Felix stopped pacing and sat down with a sigh. "Oh, Oliver, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just have this strange feeling, like something bad is going to happen. I can't relax, and it's making me anxious." Oliver patted Felix gently with his wing. "You're not alone, Felix. Bella is feeling the same way. Let me go talk to Daisy, and then we'll figure out what's going on together." Finally, Oliver flew over to the meadow where Daisy the deer was grazing. "Good morning, Daisy," Oliver said as he landed beside her. "You seem a bit jumpy today. Is something on your mind?" Daisy looked up with wide eyes. "Oh, Oliver, I've just been so nervous lately. I keep feeling like I'm being watched, but whenever I look around, there's nothing there. It's making me very uneasy." Oliver nodded, now more certain than ever that something was amiss in the forest. "Daisy, you're not alone in feeling this way. Bella and Felix are both experiencing the same thing. Let's all meet at the great oak in the center of the forest. We'll put our heads together and figure out what's going on." Later that afternoon, Oliver, Bella, Felix, and Daisy gathered beneath the towering branches of the great oak. The forest was quiet, save for the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. "So, what do we do now?" Felix asked, still looking worried. Oliver thought for a moment, then said, "Sometimes, when the animals of the forest feel uneasy, it's because something is out of balance. We need to figure out what that is and how to fix it. Let's start by checking on the other animals in the forest to see if they're feeling the same way." The friends agreed, and they split up to visit the other animals. Bella went to check on the beavers and squirrels by the river, Felix visited the burrows where the rabbits and hedgehogs lived, and Daisy went to the meadows to talk to the birds and butterflies. Oliver, being able to fly quickly, visited the animals who lived deeper in the forest, like the badgers, moles, and porcupines. By the time they all met back at the great oak, it was clear that something strange was indeed happening. Almost every animal they spoke to had the same uneasy feeling. "It seems like everyone is worried, but no one knows why," Daisy said softly. Oliver nodded. "I think it's time we speak to the oldest and wisest creature in the forest, Grandfather Tortoise." He's lived here longer than any of us, and he might know what's going on. The friends made their way to the edge of the forest, where Grandfather Tortoise lived in a peaceful, sunlit glade. They found him resting in his favorite spot, basking in the afternoon sun. Grandfather Tortoise, Oliver began respectfully, "The animals of the forest are feeling uneasy, but we don't know why. We were hoping you might have some wisdom to share with us." The old tortoise opened his eyes slowly and regarded the group with a calm, knowing gaze. After a moment, he spoke in a deep, raspy voice. "My dear friends, I believe what you are feeling is the forest itself trying to tell you something. There is a disturbance in the balance of nature. When the animals are uneasy, it often means that something is wrong with the land, the water, or the trees. You must listen carefully to the forest, and it will guide you to the source of the problem." The friends thanked Grandfather Tortoise and decided to spend the night in the glade, hoping that the quiet and peacefulness would help them understand what was wrong. That night, as they slept under the stars, Oliver had a dream. In his dream, he was flying high above the forest, and as he looked down, he saw that one of the rivers was drying up. The plants around it were wilting, and the animals who lived nearby were struggling to find water. Oliver awoke with a start, realizing that the dream had shown him the answer. He quickly woke his friends and told them what he had seen. "The river is drying up," Bella exclaimed in alarm. "But how can that be? It's always been full of water." "I don't know," Oliver admitted, "but we need to investigate right away." The next morning, the friends hurried to the river that Oliver had seen in his dream. Sure enough, the water level was much lower than it should have been, and the plants along the banks were drooping sadly. The fish and frogs who lived in the river were gathered in the shallow pools, looking worried. What could be causing this? Daisy wondered aloud. Oliver flew up and down the length of the river, looking for any sign of what might be wrong. After a while, he discovered that the river's source, a small spring in the hills, had become blocked by a pile of rocks and fallen branches. "This is it," Oliver called to his friends. "The spring is blocked, and that's why the river is drying up." Bella, being a strong and skilled builder, immediately set to work moving the rocks and branches. Felix and Daisy helped by carrying away the smaller debris, and Oliver flew overhead to make sure nothing else was blocking the flow of water. After a few hours of hard work, the spring was clear again, and water began to flow freely down the riverbed. The friends watched with relief and satisfaction as the river gradually filled up again, bringing life back to the forest. As the water flowed, the plants perked up, and the animals returned to their homes, no longer anxious or uneasy. The balance of the forest had been restored. That evening, the friends gathered once more under the great oak to celebrate their success. "Thank you, Oliver," Felix said gratefully. "If it weren't for your wisdom in your dream, we might never have figured out what was wrong." "We all worked together to solve the problem," Oliver replied modestly. "It was our teamwork that saved the forest." Daisy smiled. "And thanks to Grandfather Tortoise's advice, we were able to listen to the forest and understand what it needed." From that day on, the animals of the forest knew that they could always rely on each other in times of trouble. They also learned to pay attention to the signs that nature gave them, knowing that the balance of the forest was something they all had to protect, and so, the forest remained a peaceful and harmonious place, where all the animals lived happily together.